Today on Nursing Matters, the reference check and what nobody tells nurses about this process. I'm Christina, and this is your daily dose. Let's get into it. Because I'm going to tell you something right now that most people in healthcare recruiting won't say out loud. Job offers don't fall apart at the interview. They don't fall apart because of your resume. They fall apart quietly after you think you've already got the job. And it happens during the reference check. No warning, no feedback, no second chance. One phone call and you're out. So today we're going to talk about what's really happening behind the scenes and how to make sure that never happens to you. A recent report found that 87% of employers conduct reference checks, and 69% say a bad reference has caused them to withdraw a job offer. Let that sink in for a second. That means you can interview perfectly, you can get the verbal offer, and you can be celebrating, and then one reference conversation happens, and it's gone. They pull the rug out from under you. And here's the part that honestly blows my mind. Most nurses treat references like an afterthought. They list 3 names. They don't call them, they don't prep them, they don't even tell them what job they're applying for. And then they're shocked when something goes sideways. I'm going to be really direct here because this matters. If you are not preparing your references, you are leaving your job offer up to chance. And chance is not a strategy. Because what employers are doing in that moment is not casual. They are validating risk. They're asking, would I hire this person again? Were there any performance concerns? How did they handle pressure? Would you trust them with patients? And if your reference hesitates, even for 1 second, that hesitation speaks louder than anything you said in your interview. This is not a checkbox. This is a final decision point. Hey, if this episode is speaking to you, take a second to like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you want more real-world support for your nursing career, visit rnnet.org. That's rnnet.org. Built for nurses like you. Let's get back to it. I ran reference checks for years, thousands of them, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I saw. Not the polished version, the real version. I've heard references say things like, she's great, but she struggled with time management. He's a strong clinician, but communication could be better. I wasn't expecting this call. I'm not sure what role this is for. And here's the thing. Most of the time, these people were not trying to hurt the candidate. They were being honest, but the candidate never set them up for success. They never had the conversation. They never said, here's what I'm going for, here's what matters, here's what I'd love you to speak to. So what happens? The reference defaults to general memory, not strategic advocacy. And general memory is dangerous because people don't remember your best day. They remember your most recent interaction or your most stressful one. That's human nature. Let me give you an example. You might have had 2 years of strong performance, but your manager remembers the last 3 weeks when the unit was short-staffed and everyone was overwhelmed. If that's the lens they answer from, that's the story the employer hears. Not your growth, not your strengths, not your potential, just stress. And here's the part nobody tells you. A neutral reference can cost you the job. It doesn't have to be bad. It just has to lack enthusiasm. Because when employers are deciding between 2 strong candidates, they choose the ones whose references light up when they talk about them. Energy matters. Tone matters. Confidence matters. And that doesn't happen by accident. That happens because the candidate prepared them. Now let's talk about something else, and this is important. A warm reference is not dishonest. It is strategic. You're not asking someone to lie for you. You're helping them tell the most relevant version of your story. There is a difference. If you're applying for ICU, they should talk about your critical thinking. If you're applying for leadership, they should talk about how you influence others. If you're applying for a fast-paced environment, they should talk about how you handle pressure. But if you don't guide them, they'll talk about whatever comes to mind because that's human nature. And whatever does come to mind might not align with what your employer is looking for. That's where candidates lose opportunities they should have gotten. Not because they weren't qualified, but because they weren't intentional. So here's the one thing I want you to know starting today, and I want you to do this starting today. Before you list anyone as a reference, reach out to them. That's it. But do it right away. Not a last minute ditch effort 5 minutes before you hit submit. Be thoughtful, be specific, and here's exactly what that sounds like. Hi, Jane. I'm applying for a position as an ICU nurse at Mainline Health. I really valued working with you, and I'd be honored if you'd be a reference for me. If you're open to it, I'd love to share a few details about the role so you feel prepped when they reach out. That's it. You can send it as a text and then connect by phone after. That one message changes everything because now they're expecting the call. They know what role you're going for. They're thinking about your strengths ahead of time, and they're positioned to advocate for you, not just respond. And if you want to take it one step further, and this is where top candidates separate themselves, send them a quick bullet list. The role you're applying for, why you're excited about it, and 2 to 3 strengths you'd love them to highlight. You're not scripting them, you're aligning them. And alignment, that's what wins. Because when the recruiter calls and says, "Tell me about Christina," you want the response to be immediate, confident, clear. "She's incredible. Let me tell you exactly why she'd be perfect for this role." That's the difference. That's what moves you from qualified to "we need to hire her now." And most candidates never do this, which means if you do, you instantly stand out. So if you take nothing else from today, take this. Your references are not a formality. They are your final interview. And you don't get to be in the room for it. So you'd better prepare the people who are, because one strong reference can open a door, and one unprepared one can close it just as fast. This is Nursing Matters, and this is part of your career nobody teaches you, but absolutely determines your outcomes. Share this again with a nurse who's searching. Keep showing up because nursing matters. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Nursing Matters Daily Dose. Are you interested in more career resources? Then hop on over to the RN Network at rnnet.org. Also, while you're at it, hit that like and subscribe button and share this episode with one nurse who really needs to hear it. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.